everyone, welcome back. This is Stephanie from My Porch Prints, and today we are going to be working with our new French Country Cottage collection. And this is just a collection of a bunch of pretty pieces in a French country style. We've got pages and papers, and then we've got ephemera, fussy cuts, and we also have a scrap pack, and we might even have some more kits that are going to be added later. So it's just a really big kind of fun collection, and it has this beautiful color palette with these kind of muted turquoise colors and these kind of sepias. And today I'm going to be working a lot with the pages and papers, and then also the scrap pack. And the scrap pack includes a bunch of papers, and then also just some kind of scrappy pieces like these. And we're going to be playing with a bunch of these today. And what we're going to do is make a quick little no-sew journal. So stick with me and we'll get started putting this together. So to begin with, I printed the pages on regular paper, and then I flipped them over and printed some printable papers on the back sides. And we're going to be using those to make the pages of our journal. And then I also printed some of the papers with more papers on the back side, just for some variety, so everything isn't like an image. It's got some variety in there. And then I also printed some papers from the scrap pack, but these are just printed one-sided. And the reason for that is we're going to be cutting these to use as hinges, and that's how we're going to bind our journal pages together. So that's what we have to start with. And then of course I have a bunch of ephemera pieces from the scrap pack, and I printed all of these on a kind of buttery yellow cardstock. And you can print them on white cardstock, it doesn't matter. I just liked the kind of vintage yellow because it gave everything a little bit more of an antique look, and it also kind of helped to make the ephemera look really cohesive with that yellow tint. So we're going to go ahead and get started putting this together. So to begin with, I'm going to locate my pages, and you remember I printed those front and back, and what I'm going to do is just fold these in half. And I'm going to fold them so that the images are on the inside and the paper is on the outside. And I'll show you why in just a little bit. But just go ahead and fold those images, hide them inside. And then what I'm going to do is pick a paper to use as the front cover of my journal. And I like this kind of damask cover here with the damask pattern. It's got some pretty colors in it, and I think it'll work well as a backdrop for my cover. But if you didn't want to do that, you could always choose one of the images as the cover, and you could just, you know, fold it this way and put it on front as the cover of your journal if you want to. That's up to you. So I'm going to line these up. Somehow I got them mixed up a little bit here. And I'm going to kind of keep my cover separate, and then I'm going to decide my page order for the rest of these. And there's no rhyme or reason, it's just kind of whatever you want. And so to begin with, I'm again just going to keep my cover separate for a little bit here. And what I'm going to do is line all of my pages up so the folded part is on this left side. And you can see the images are on the inside. And I'm going to take my first two folded pages, and I'm just going to glue a hinge to glue them together. I'm going to take a hinge of paper. And how I'm going to make that is just with these papers that we printed one-sided. I'm going to chop these up into about, maybe 3-inch, rectangles. And then that's going to become a little hinge that we can use to glue. And you can make them bigger if you want, or smaller if you want. You could cut them with a decorative edge using like an edge punch, and that would give them a really cool little edge. But I'm going to leave mine just plain rectangles today, just for the sake of time. And I'm not being very precise about this. I'm just kind of guessing. These are going to get covered up, so I'm not too worried about making them a perfect size or anything. If you want them all the same size, you could maybe think about dividing it into thirds, kind of like this. And I kind of give you roughly, 3 pieces for hinges. Okay, and now I've just got a bunch of variety of papers to use for my hinge pieces. gonna set my hinges kind of over here and just pick the ones I want that go with the image here. I think that blends nicely, that looks good. So I'm going to use this. And I'm just gonna apply some glue and just glue this page to this page. And if you wanted to get clever here, you could use these hinges to create pockets by just gluing, you know, along the top and bottom and then maybe in the middle here. But I'm not going to be that clever today. I'm just going to make some hinges. All right, so line these up really nice and straight and then glue down your hinge. And then I'm going to go ahead and just fold it before it's completely dry. Okay, so we've glued this folded page to this folded page right here in the middle. And so you can see how it's going to become our book, just like this. Okay, and that's the reason that we folded these image pages on the inside, is because I didn't want to glue over the top of these pretty images. It's, I think, better to glue our hinge over the top of the papers. It just kind of blends into the pattern. Okay, so now I'm going to take my next folded page and we're going to do the same thing. And I think I'm going to fold this one backwards. And just because I kind of like this pattern inside here and I don't want to cover it up. And we'll just keep repeating this process until all of the pages are glued together. And I should probably mention that as you glue your book together, it's going to get taller and taller and taller, and it's going to be harder to line these up. So one way to alleviate that is just to start making pairs. So I'll hinge this one together and then set it aside, and then I'll hinge a new one together and set it aside. And then once we have those pairs, we'll put them all together on this journal. So I'll go ahead and just start doing that really quickly and kind of show you how we'll do that. So we've got our paired pages, and I'm going to go ahead and glue those together, and then we'll add them to the rest of the journal. So it's just so that it, you know, doesn't get super high on this left side. Okay, so this is the last one. We'll hinge these together and then we'll make our cover. We've got hinges and pages. And I should mention, when you're gluing your pages together, just to make doubly sure that everything's right side up. It's a bummer to glue a page upside down, but it's not impossible to fix. You can always cover it with something if you do accidentally glue one upside down. So I'm going back to my cover, and I think I'd like to go ahead and hinge this one on. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I probably should have done that at the beginning, but I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do with this. So I'm going to go ahead and hinge this one on, and it'll become our cover image. And this is kind of what I was talking about. It's gonna be a little tricky because this side's really high. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put this on this side first. And then I'm gonna flip it over and flip this over and add it right here. You can see that's a lot taller on this side, quite a bit. And then I'm just gonna fold this over like we did before. Okay, success. All right, and before we decorate our cover, we probably want to think about our spine. Right now it's really exposed, which is actually not unattractive. I like that. But I think I'm going to cover it either with some paper or lace. So let me experiment a little and find what that's going to be. Before I do that though, I think I will plan my cover out just in case I want the lace on top of it. I won't have already glued it down. So there's lots of options for the cover. You can pretty much do anything you want. I've got some pieces here that I think might look nice. I just have to decide how I want to do this. And you can always use distress ink around the edges. Let me see if I can find some here. And it will add just kind of like a darkened edge to your ephemera pieces. And that can be nice if you want them to stand out a little bit more. I probably won't do this a lot just because it's a little time consuming, but it is nice to give it some dimension. So for a cover, I like to pick a focal point, and I think this little bird is a nice little focal point. And then kind of just layer around it or behind it, and just kind of add some interest. And then you can always add some little lace or applique pieces just to give it some texture. And then the scrap pack comes with these letter tiles, and I think I'm going to cut some of these out and maybe use them on the cover. I think I like that. I may have to do a little overlapping with my tiles, but I think they will work. And I think I will put this lace on first and kind of hide it with these pieces. So good to know. Plan it out a little bit before you glue. It's a lot harder to plan after you glue. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start gluing some of these cover pieces, but before I do, something I was thinking was it would be really pretty to sew around the edges of all this ephemera and give it kind of an extra, you know, like dimension to it. But I don't know if I want to spend the time at the sewing machine, so something I could do is to do kind of a faux stitch around this, just draw it on. I'm going to give that a try and see if I like it. Here's hoping. And this is just a micron pen. It's really tiny. It's a 05. Okay, not quite the same as sewing, but I think it has a nice little something extra to help this piece stand out a little bit when we put it on here. Okay. And I am going to glue this piece just on the top and the side and the bottom, and that would give me the option of using it as a kind of secret pocket. And I have some mounting tape here. I'm going to use that to also give just a little bit of height and dimension to our layers. And I don't want the flower sticking off on this side because when we turn the page, it's probably going to get bent. Okay, I think we'll call that good for the cover. I like that. I like the layers. And now we'll go ahead and decorate the inside pages. Okay, so the scrap pack comes with these note cards. I went ahead and printed these on cardstock. And I just printed a few copies so that I would have plenty. I'm going to go ahead and disperse these just kind of throughout my journal. And I'm going to put glue just on the top and side of some of these so that I can create kind of a place for a pocket. And if you want to, you could round your corners on these just to give it a little extra fanciness. I'm going to leave mine unrounded. But you can see now that I left this side open and it can become kind of a little pocket if we wanted to. Now that we've added our notebook pieces, I'm going to go ahead and start adding ephemera. And a really nice way to do ephemera is with paper clips. You don't have to glue all the pieces in. You can create some layers and just kind of paper clip them in. So I might be doing that for some of these pieces, but go ahead and just follow along as I decorate the journal. And if you're wondering where to get some of these supplies that we're using, we've got links to our Amazon influencer shop down in the video description under more below the video. So you can click on that and scroll down and find our Amazon shop link to some of the things that we use. Okay, so our French Country Cottage no-sew journal is all finished. Let's go ahead and take a look at how we did. All right, everyone, thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to hit subscribe to our channel because we sometimes have freebies and other fun things as well as craft projects and junk journal projects. So please hit that subscribe button and we will see you guys next time. Bye.